The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
A number of years ago, older man, a Sefer Torah dedication in England. And many rabbis were there, and leaders were there, and all his family, his children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, all his siblings and friends were all there. And rabbis got up and spoke, and finally he spoke. It was a Sefer Torah dedicated in his honor. He said, I want to tell you, you're all watching Sefer Torah dedication, you're watching this unbelievable success, you're looking at the family, looking at all this beauty. He says, I want to tell you how it began. I lived in Europe, and when I was 11 years old, World War II broke out. This is 60 years ago, he says. World War II broke out. Next thing you know, I was in concentration camps. My whole family passed away. And after the war, I ended up in England. Now I believe he was already an 18-year-old boy. And I decided I want to go to yeshiva. So I go to one of the highest level yeshivot of the entire England. And I walk in and tell the Rosh Yeshiva, my background, I want to join the yeshiva. The Rabbi says, it's nice. But when was the last time you went to school? He says, when I was 11. I was in the Holocaust the whole time. He says, that means your level is an 11-year-old's level? He says, yeah. He says, this is a really high level yeshiva. I'm afraid you're not going to be able to handle. These are all boys that England was pretty much spared from the Holocaust. These are all boys that would really study nonstop till they're 18. They're on a different level. You're a beautiful boy. There's other schools that are for starters, and maybe you could go to that one. He says, Rabbi, I've been through enough. I'm staying right here. He says, but how am I going to get chavrutot, study partners? The way it works in high-level yeshivos, you're studying with chavrutah all day, partners all day, morning, afternoon. So he decided, here's what I'm going to do. He says, I made a sign. I think his name was Shmuel Deutsch. He says, I put up a sign, and I said, my name is Shmuel Deutsch, and I am looking for 2 chavrutot to come and study with me. He put up the sign, he sat down in front of the Ben Midrash, and he said, I'm going to wait 3 days. If I find people to learn with, and they're willing to learn with me, even though I'm on the level I am, I'll stay. If not, I did my best. Hashem knows I did my best, and I tried. I'm going to go on and do other things. He says, I sat down in the front of the Bet Midrash, and only in a few hours into the day, someone starts walking up to me, and I'm getting all excited. They're walking up to me, and then they stick their hand out to get a book on the bookshelf that was right on top of me. He says, I was so deflated. I said, this is the dumbest idea ever. To put up a sign, who wants to study with me, is so hazit. He says, but I promised I'm going to wait 3 days. Because I went to sleep that night crying. The next day I went to sat down in my seat. I said, what am I doing? I'm on an 11-year-old level. I know nothing. These are sophisticated learners. What am I doing? The whole day passed. I went to bed crying again. The third day came. I said, okay, I promised 3 days. I'm going to do 3 days. The morning came, the afternoon came, and no one came over to me. I closed my Gemara, and I started walking out of the Ben Midrash. I said, I tried. Hashem, you know I did my best. And as I'm walking out of the room, and I'm almost by the door, 2 boys come running over to me. One's name was Moshe, the other one's name was Tuvia. And they said, is your name Deutsch? He says, yeah. He says, are you still available? He says, yeah. He says, we want to learn with you. One of them says, I want to learn with you in the morning. The other one says, I want to learn with you in the afternoon. We want to be your study partners. We want to learn with you. He says, those 2 boys learned with me. I said, if I made the deal, before the 3rd day ended, they learned with me every day for years until I reached the level of the rest of the yeshiva and grew, and family and children that are all on this beautiful path of Torah. And he says, and just in case you think that those 2 boys lost out, one boy's name became a rabbi named Rabbi Tuvia Weiss. The other boy's name became Rabbi Moshe Sternbach. Both of them are the 2 of the top dayanim in the whole world. Top dayanim in the whole world. 2 boys that were willing to go over to somebody who was lost and tell him, you matter. You have strength that can be of value to us. You can overcome all the failure you've just experienced. And you can, if you make the right decisions, have a better future.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org